Hello students. So today we are going to start the topic on operators. Alright. So we will be discussing what are operators, what are the basic properties of the operators, and what operators are of very much importance in quantum mechanics. So let us start. The first thing is, what are operators? Operators are simply some mathematical expressions which can be operated on some function, and that function will be converted to some other function. So these mathematical function individually don't have any significance until unless they are operated on some function. So let's see some examples. Okay, the symbol for operators is O cap. O cap means operator. So we can have different symbols like A, B, but we have to put a cap over that symbol. So that cap represents it's an operator. Alright, so O cap. So let's see some example. First example is, we have some operator d upon dx, d2 upon dx square root and square of a function. These all are operators. These are meaningful only when they are operated on some mathematical functions. So let's see the examples in detail. We have a function fx is equal to 2x plus 3. So if I want to operate some operator on this function, so let's take first operator. This is d upon dx. I want to operate this operator on function fx. So what I need to do is operator fx, and operator will be simply operated on the function if the operator is present on left side and function has to be on right side. Then only. If I write like fx O cap, it doesn't have any meaning. This operator cannot operate on fx. So operator has to be on left side and function on the right side. So if I operate this operator on fx, it will be d upon dx and function was 2x plus 3. So differentiated, it will be it will be 2 into 1 plus 0. 3 is a constant. It is 2. So I can say if I operate operator on fx, it becomes a constant. Or I can say this is some other function fx f dash x. Alright. So let's see one more example. If I have a function gx which is equal to e raised to power 2x. Now let's take some other operator. This time I take d2 upon dx square, and I want to operate this operator on function g. So if I operate this on function g, it will be d2 upon dx square e raised to power 2x. 2x. Differentiated, it will be 2 into 2 e raised to power 2x. 4 e raised to power 2x. This function is some another function g dash x. So I can say if I operate this operator on gx, I get another function g dash x. So you can take multiple examples of operators and functions, operate the operator on the function, and you will get something else. So the resultant will be maybe a constant also, it may be a variable function also. So this is the basic definition of operators. Now let's see what are the basic properties of operators. First is sum rule. Sum rule. If you want to add two operators, you can add this way. Operator A and B are added and operated on a function. It has to be equal to, if operator A is individually operated on function, and be individually operated on function, and then after the operations they are to added. These two are added. So that is sum rule. Next is product rule. Product rule says if the two operators A and B, we want to multiply the two. So we will do this way. This is actually dot product. Alright. So if we do the product of the two, we have to operate on this operator. Now see, I have already explained the operator which is on, the operator always has to be on left side, but out of the two operators which is close to the function will be operated first. The first thing is all the operators has to be on the left side of the function, and in that the operator which is closer to the function will be operated first. So in this case B will be operated on function f first. After that we will get some another function. On that resultant function A operator will be operated. So this way we can find out the product of two operators. So it means it is equal to first B is being operated and then A will be being operated. A will be operated on that resultant function. Alright. Or second case is if I take product this way, that B dot A. So B dot A means now A operator is closer to this function. So A operator will be operated first, and the resultant function whatever we get, B will be operated on that function. So this is, and these two may and may not be equal. We will discuss it later in after discussing this example. And one more thing, if we are taking product of the two operator A and B operating on a function, if we take complex conjugate of this entire product, the resultant or the answer will be the inverted order of A and B. It means you first operate the operators on the function, then take complex conjugate. That will be equal to when you take individual complex conjugate of the three and operate the operators on the function. So this will be the result. What is associative rule? In associative rule you have three operators A, B, C. So if they are operated in a order, so the result will be like this. This is equal to, these two are equivalent. Like in any case we are operating C first and then B and then A according to the distance. All the operator has to be on left side, and the one which is closer will be operated first, then the second one, then the third one. So that will be your result. Now let's see what is commutative rule. Commutative rule. Now see this example. We are taking the product in two different orders. So if this product is equal to these two are equal, we can say operators A and B commute. Operators A and B commute. It means A dot B fx, if I take this term on the left side, minus B dot A fx is equal to 0. This is the meaning. If I take function outside, function is common, but you will take function always outside, means it has to be on the right side, and the operator should be on left side. So I will write it like A dot B minus B dot A fx is equal to 0. Okay? So this is coming out to be equal to 0. They are said to commute, or in simple terms I can write like A dot B minus B dot A is equal to 0. So A and B commute. this term on the right hand side of this expression is known as commutator. Commutator. Let me write it clearly. This term is commutator. Okay. If, or in short, we can write it like this. This is the expression for commutator. Commutator means this term can be expanded as this bracket and which is equal to some term. If this term is equal to 0, A and B commute. If A, the commutator of the two is not equal to 0, it means they do not commute. Now let's see what is the significance of commuting and non-commuting when the two operators commute and they don't commute. I have taken two operators. First is momentum operator along x direction, x component of linear momentum operator, and x component of the distance towards x where the particle is moving. Alright, so this is the value. We will derive this expression also, but here we are just trying to check whether they commute or not. So the commutator of the two operators will be written as x. This expression means if this is A and this is B operator, we can say minus x here and px. So this is the expression for commutator. Now we have to check whether this commutator is equal to 0 or not equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, we can say px and x commute. If this will be not equal to 0, we will say they do not commute. So let us check. Assume a function fx, any random function. Now operate this commutator on this function. So we have this expression x minus, we are operating this on fx. So this will be fx fx. Now the difference is, in this case x will first operate. It is closer to the function. In this case px will operate first. Substitute the value of px over here. Px is minus iota h cap partial derivative with respect to x. Value of x is x and fx. ठीक है, minus x cap, sorry, yes, px is again and fx. All right, do it, differentiate by parts. We will have minus h bar. First differentiate this, first this function as it is. So when you operate, when you differentiate x, it will become 1 plus, say this function as it is, plus, now x as it is, operate this on fx, fx x. Now this term will be minus, will come out, it will be plus h bar. This x is out of this differential sign, so it will be x fx x. All right, now see, this is negative term, this term, this term and this term. These two are same but with opposite signs, so we can cancel out these two terms. So we are left with one term only, which is minus iota h bar fx. So we can say the commutator, this resultant is for this commutator. So this is not equal to 0. P and X do not commute. And we know from the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, do not commute means we cannot find out the value of these two properties simultaneously. So this is the meaning of commuting. So two operators commute or non-commute, we can say, and this value is known as commutator. So this is commutator for P and X. Now next thing is linear operators. What are linear operators? The operators, any operator, if operated on a sum of two functions, it has to be equal to when it is individually operated on two functions. These kind of operators are known as linear operators. Let's see some examples. Example 1 is, let's take two functions. Function fx is 2x square and gx is e raised to power x. Okay, or e raised to power x. So what we need to check is whether I have an operator also. Let's see, a is equal to, I can take any operator. Let's take d upon dx. If I take the sum of these two functions fx plus gx, it will be equal to 2x square plus ex. I operate this operator on the sum of these functions. So I will have 2x square plus e raised to power x is equal to, operator is d upon dx. d upon dx 2x square plus ex. After operating, you will have 4x plus ex. Now what happens if I operate this operator on individual functions and then add? That means I operate this operator a on fx plus a on gx. What happens? Let's see over here. This will be operator A is d upon dx on 2x square plus d upon dx e raised to power x. This will be equal to 4x plus e raised to power x. That means these two are equal. Operator operated on sum of the functions is equal to operator individually operated on the functions and then the sum is done. It means operator A is a linear operator. Alright, let's see one more example. If I take example 2, which is whole square of the 2, it means if I take this whole square of functions fx plus gx whole square, that will not be equal to if I take their individual squares and then add. These two are not equal, we know. So this operator is a non-linear operator. So this was the definition of a linear and non-linear operator. As in second postulate we said quantum mechanical operator has to be linear and Hermitian. So we will check also the expression for Hermitian also. But before that I will do the squared operators. Now let's see what are squared operators. If I have an operator A, I multiply it with itself and operate on a function. This kind of operator is a squared operator, or I can write this like A square operated on Fx. Example of this is, we have del operator. This is known as del operator. The value of del operator is partial derivative this del operator. If I take square of this operator, I have to take dot product of the two. It means this will be dot, the same term repeats. This way. All right. So dot product of the two, it will become del square. This will be plus this will become, this becomes the value of del square. This del square is known as Laplacian operator. This operator appears in Schrodinger's wave equation. When we will solve the equation again and again for different systems, this operator will appear again and again, and we will derive that equation also. So this is Laplacian operator, and this vector operator is del operator. So this is another operator. Let's see what is the meaning of dagger of an operator. So the dagger of an operator is, if I have an operator which is in matrix form, so I will take its complex conjugate and transpose. So when you take complex conjugate of all the elements of that matrix and the transpose of that matrix, that will be dagger of an operator, and it will be represented by this symbol. So dagger of an operator is this. What is Hermitian operators? So all those operators which obey this condition, all those operators, fx is a function, a is an operator, which obeys this condition, are known as Hermitian operators. As we already said in second postulate of quantum mechanics, all the quantum mechanical operators are Hermitian operators. This is complex conjugate of the function, and these are normal function and operator. And in this case, we are taking complex conjugate of this function and the operator. So this condition holds. If this condition holds, that operator is known as Hermitian operators. All the operators in quantum mechanics are Hermitian operators. All the operators means the energy operator, the kinetic energy operator, total energy operator, momentum operator, position operator, all the operators has to be Hermitian and linear. Alright. Second, now very important equation is eigenvalue equation. So I have discussed this equation. Now let's do some examples also. So eigenvalue equation is when an operator is operated on a function and we get some constant value in return and the same function. So this kind of equation is known as eigenvalue equation. This is eigenvalue equation. Here fx is said to be eigenfunction of operator A. Okay, fx here is eigenfunction of operator A. This function may not be an eigenfunction of some other operator, but for A it is eigenfunction, because when we are operating this operator on this function, we are getting constant value and the same function. So this is eigenfunction and this is eigenvalue. A here is eigenvalue. Let's do one example. The question is, prove that, find out whether this function is an eigenfunction of this given operator. So let's try to solve it. I simply operate this operator on this function fx. Operator is x square 8 d2 dx square. This is operated on x square. So double differential, it will be 8. When we differentiate it once, it will be 2x, and again differentiate, so it will become 2. So this will be 4 x square by 4. So what we are getting here is, when I operated operator A on fx, I have got 1 by 4 x square. This x square is equal to fx. It means the eigenvalue equation holds here, is equal to A fx. So we can say fx is an eigenfunction of A, operator A. So this way we can check any function whether it is an eigenfunction of some given operator or not. So here we have a question. This question appeared in IIT JAM exam 2007. The question says, psi is an eigenfunction to Hamiltonian operator. I just tell you what is Hamiltonian operator. With alpha is an eigenvalue, then alpha must be, these were the options, positive, negative, an integer, or real. So the correct answer is, it has to be real. All the eigenvalues of any Hermitian operator are real. So for this kind of questions, you must remember 2 points, which are, first is, eigenvalues of Hermitian operators are always real, and eigenfunctions of Hermitian operators are orthogonal. We will also do what is the meaning of orthogonality, and we have seen, and we will do one example for this also to prove that the values of eigenvalues of Hermitian operator has to be real. We will do some examples for these 2 topics. So here you just remember these 2 points. The eigenvalues must be real and the eigenfunctions has to be orthogonal. Okay. Now comes Hamiltonian operator. So Hamiltonian operator is energy operator. Hamiltonian operator is total energy operator. Total energy operator. So what is total energy? Total energy of any system is given by its kinetic energy plus potential energy. So the corresponding operator which corresponds to the total energy is known as Hamiltonian operator, and symbol for this operator is H, capital H cap for the Hamiltonian operator, and kinetic energy operator, the symbol is T cap. For the potential energy it is V cap. So these are the corresponding operators. Let's derive the expression for Hamiltonian operator and kinetic energy operator. So I can write here, this is Hamiltonian operator. So if I see in this question Hamiltonian operator and alpha is eigenvalue, so it means psi is a function. He is saying alpha psi. This equation holds and alpha must be real. Let's see how to prove this equation. Prove that eigenvalues of Hermitian operator are real. So the condition which is given is this, and we have to prove all the eigenvalues of any Hermitian operator are real. So eigenvalue equation is eigenvalue equation implies operator A operated on wave function psi is equal to A psi. So this question says if this equation holds true, all the values of A must be real. How to prove this equation? Take this equation, mark it as number 1 and equation number 2. Now take complex conjugate of equation 2. Equation 2. It will give you star psi star is equal to A star and psi star. Mark it as equation number 3. Alright. Now take equation number 2 and multiply it on the left hand side with psi star. Multiply equation 2 with psi star and equation 3 with psi on left hand side. I mean from left side. From left. So equation 2 will give you psi star A psi is equal to psi star A psi. Alright. And equation 3 will give you equation number 3. Multiply this equation with psi on the left side. It will give you psi A cap star psi star is equal to psi A star and psi star. We have these two equations. If I integrate these two equations within the limits, then according to equation number 1, these two has to be equal. The left side of these two equations has to be equal. This is the condition for an Hermitian operator. So these two equation has to be equal means their right hand side will also be equal. But it is only possible, it means right hand side is again equal. Psi A star psi star. But this condition is possible only when A is equal to A star. So A is equal to A star means A has to be real. So when A is equal to A star, from these two equations we will get the probability so these two are equal. Hence we can say A has to be equal to A star, has to be real, so that operator A is Hermitian. So this was the theorem. So we have proved A to be if A is Hermitian, its eigenvalues has to be real.